Hello, ma'am. I'm so glad to share that today with us. We have Dr. Srimati Kesan. She's the founder and CEO of Space Kids India. She led the team to build the world's smallest and the lightest satellite, which was launched by NASA. And she's the only Indian to be decorated with the ambassador status to the top three space centers in the world: NASA, ESA, and GCTC Moscow. It's an absolute pleasure meeting her at a conference in Bangalore, and she was easily the friendliest in the room. So I'm so happy that you're here with us, ma'am, and it's an honor to speak to you.
Thank you, Kirti. Thank you for remembering me. I mean, generally what happens is at the conference, we kind of meet so many people, we interact, and, we like somebody and we try to, get in touch with them and all that. But as time passes, it kind of fades off. But you've been such a darling and, you kind of kept in touch. And today we are here. Thank you so much for this. And good show. Wonderful. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I think, I definitely forgot a lot of people from that conference because it was, I think, 4 years ago. And I think I was in my first year, but I just remember you so well because, I remember it was a panel of all men, mostly men, and there were like probably 2 or 3 women. And you just walked into the room and had that kind of aura that everybody wanted to speak to you. And it was just so enchanting. And somewhere I was sort of starstruck being the smallest kid in the conference. I think I was one of the youngest there. So it was just so nice speaking to you that day. I remember you got the Kalam Sat to the conference also.
Yes.
So,
my God, you remember everything. Yeah, you were right. We were only, the moderator was a woman and I was the woman. That's about it. And everybody else were men in the room.
Yes. I actually remember a little more detail, which you might probably be surprised. I remember distinctly that you wore a pink blazer. And I was just so happy to see a woman wear a feminine color because we're constantly in being a woman in technology and being constantly being in the minority. We tend to dress in neutral colors. We want to fit into the crowd and be less feminine in our dressing sense.
Wow, you've noticed so much in detail. Oh my God. You know what? Consciously, I try to wear feminine colors, Kirti. You've really noticed in detail, minute details, because I always feel pride in that. Though I'm the only woman in the whole country who's actually, running a aerospace organization, it tends of kinds of intimidating many a times. It's very intimidating. But, you tend to overcome all that and you want to be there. You want to tell your peer group that, come on, women, you need to be there. Just, be whatsoever, come whatsoever. You need to prove a point that women in aerospace can do good. And predominantly, I should say women in tech or STEM, because hardly we are there.
Yeah, that
so
is
how many, whatever percentage we are in, I think we have to show people, yes. And I want more of the future generation like you to come forward and step up into all these roles, So I'm very proud to carry myself in feminine colors and be myself.
It's just wonderful to see a woman being herself and just, owning the room in some sense.
So could you tell us a bit about your early days, how you got started into the whole space?
See, if I have to tell you, my educational background, I need to definitely mention here because I'm not from an engineering background, neither, an aerospace background. I'm completely from a commerce background. And then went up to do, masters in travel and tourism and everything. Because I was under the impression that I was going to be doing, definitely not space. But space was a passion to me as a child. As a child, I thought because I jumped from 36,000 feet in a parachute and all that, I was an NCC cadet. And I enjoyed being in the air. I really enjoyed being in the air. But, back 25 years ago, we didn't have that much of an awareness towards space. NASA was one thing that we actually studied in textbooks, and ISRO was just coming up then. So, nobody really knew about this kind of, a career. And I was married off when I was 18, when I was doing my final year commerce. So, I never expected that I was getting into this. And, life turned after 16 years of sabbatical, life turned when I went in for a conference the very first time, to Miami. And there I got to see the counter of NASA and people talking about it, and an astronaut giving giving details about a workshop that children could come and attend from across the globe. All these things really mesmerized me. I started crying. I really started crying. And I said, oh my God, so what? If I am not a rocket scientist, why can I not create some rocket scientists for the country? If I'm not able to build satellites, why not I pay way for somebody else to, actually build satellites? Let me start a tech organization. All these things ran in my mind. Initially, I started off as a, student educator where I was taking, educational tourism organization where I was taking children to NASA, ESA and GCTC. But subsequently, when I, started following the lectures and everything of the educators there, then I said, why not give, an opportunity to the young talents in India? They are really good given a platform. So that's where I stepped up and, worked on the first satellite. We built in 2015, if we spoke about satellites, it was only ISRO. You cannot, have a private satellite going up and all that. So we tweaked the name and we said, okay, we'll do a high altitude ballooning. So that was like an LKG. So we went on to launch our, helium balloon, and, that attracted many, many eyes across the globe. And they were pretty impressive that, we had done something like this. But at the same time, we had a lot of brickbats. And people thought that, this woman from a commerce background, what would she know about technology? So I had a lot of people writing negative comments for me. And not only that, because I was working with children who were only 14 years, 14 and 16 years. So people thought I was kind of, taking them away from the regular education. They really saw me like a villain, They said, you are not supposed to be doing something like this. You're spoiling their career. You're spoiling their future. But I somehow was very strong. I don't know. I felt that, apart from the regular education, there should be something path-breaking, something different that we do for the children. And I was very sure that the future was very strong for them because they were doing everything hands-on. And hands-on is very, very, a minuscule percentile in our education system. So in spite of all the brickbats, I don't know, I was really confident and went ahead and, started working on all these things.
Well, today we're all glad that you did take the steps, and it's unfortunate that despite everybody emphasizing on importance of practical learning, there's still criticism.
That's our country. And people with masters and PhD and everything, they felt that, formal education is mandatory. Yes, agreed. I always said that. Yes, we know we definitely want formal education for the children, but hands-on space is something that you cannot study out of textbooks. You need to really have that hands-on experience. When I met the collector, when I met the people at the airport authority, when we had to, take permissions for the high altitude ballooning, it was so difficult for me to convince them. Because I was a woman doing something like this, they felt it was crazy. So, they really bullied me down and put me down, and they said, what happens? In fact, when I had to sign the document, the indemnity and all that, they were like, you will be put behind bars if anything happens to an aircraft and all that. I took that courage to say nothing is going to happen, and we are very positive that our launch is going to be successful, because every 5,000 kilometers we had to, feet, we had to give them details about where the balloon was and where the payload was getting back and all that. So everybody was skeptical, that we were going to be failing. But somehow, grace of God, I think, we succeeded, and they didn't know what to do.
And now they can only sing praises because there's 7 years
now
later.
It's autographs,
boom.
Khyati. Now it's autographs. Now they are super proud. And now it's become the other way around. You know what? 2.5-year-old child's parent calling me and telling me, my daughter is talking about planets and stars and everything. I think she wants to be an astrophysicist. Can you believe it? A 2.5-year-old child and the parent telling me that she might want to be an astrophysicist. Come on, guys. Don't, it's like two extremes.
But what just made you get up one day that, okay, I will now educate myself on all of these things? Because I'm sure it was not easy not having a formal education in technology and yet being able to lead technical teams after a break of 16 years.
It was very, very difficult, Khyati, but the whole thing was, personally, I had to, I had to come out of the guilt that, I was going to do something different. Because a typical South Indian family where you get married off early, the girls get married off early, and if the husband is really doing well at work and earning good amount of money, then, she is bound to be at home and take care of the family, children, in-laws. The four walls was her kingdom. But, being an all-rounder at school and college, I was a national basketball player, I was a state athlete, I was a best cadet of NCC. I went up to represent at the Delhi Republic Day. I was a paratrooper, an all India silver medalist, firing. Wow. So many things under my belt, and I was given a direct entry into the army. And, from all my accolades that I had collected. But wedding was something that was in destiny, and I did not deny that though, because, okay, let's not get into all that. Well, if I had, 16 years, but something was running in my mind that, I was born for a purpose and there was something different that I had to do. And it's not only that I need to be called always Mrs. somebody or mother of somebody. So that was constantly working in my head, and that's where, I chanced upon meeting a friend of mine who was from NCC, and, after 16 years, and she said, come on, my dear Mati, what happened? What happened? I am not seeing that, the friend that I had met you 16 years ago. Where is she? And I think, she fueled up my thought process and everything. And I was confident to take that first step. I was ready. I shrugged all the guilt and everything. And she was the one who actually sent me to Miami. And she was confident I was the only South Indian and only woman to go there. And, it's all destiny. It's pre-planned. I always felt, this was because I love the moon. I love to interact with the moon always and keep sharing everything with the moon. And probably moon thought, okay, this is the time. Let's pull her out and get her all the opportunity and everything. So that's where I stepped up and went to this conference. And I, as mentioned earlier, as a educational tourism, started off with that and then building satellites. So when I wanted to build satellites, I wanted to have a team. So however, I was wondering how I was going to put in a team together. So then I started this competition called Young Scientist India, wherein, high school students were asked to design something, innovate, create, discover something. And we had a category aerospace, and that's where Rifat stepped in. he actually came in as a student journalist to interview me and understand about the competition. But we spoke for hours together. We almost walked the red carpet. We said we were getting the Nobel Prize, and you don't know how crazy we were. He was an eighth grader. And we were talking about all this launching of satellites and rockets and walking the red carpet. And oh my God. Then that's where, I handpicked, it's not the winners of the competition because Rifat never won the competition, but, he had the same passion as I did, wanted to build satellites. So then I put in a team together with all these young scientists and worked together. Google, of course, helped us a lot. And as I was traveling to NASA and back, I had a lot of contacts with the educators there and all that. So, whatever we did, we wet with them, wetted the whole thing. And then I got details. And when I was sitting there in NASA also, when the educators were teaching the children, what is it to, or how is it that we built a water rocket, the correlation. So step by step, I got to understand. I started learning myself. The students have started teaching me. So, it is the acceptance. When you don't know something, you should start learning. And when you're getting into something like this, I think you should shrug all your inhibitions and everything, be it whatever age, age doesn't matter, but the learning sticks on. So this is how it is, and the journey was.
This is amazing. And like one thing that stands out is that most of your team members are not from the premier colleges of the country or the city. They're actually from villages that you probably wouldn't have even heard of. How do you find them? How do you actually reach out to them?
As I mentioned, Khyati, like I was running this competition called Young Scientist India. We were running this parallelly for government school students as well as private school students. And for me, it was the passion. I wouldn't be bothered about students winning first or second or third prizes. I would read in detail the abstracts that they would send and interact with all these children to find out if they really wanted to be a scientist, or is it just for the competition per se that they wanted to participate and just win a prize and go away. So that way, all these students that, the team that I have, they're all weird kids. Each in a different tangent. And of course, they had great knowledge, but education per se, they were all this 50% and 60%. And also I was particular that I was going to be giving opportunity to, the 2-tier or the 3-tier colleges. Because the premium institutions, of course, whoever came in, at least from abroad, or, even the funders, anybody, they only looked upon IITians, IIMs, or BITSians, they only had them in the cream. So what are these children going to be doing? So I thought I should definitely give a platform to these children and bring out their talents. I want to prove to the world that it's not where you study that is important. It's what knowledge you're building is important. And it's not important where you live. It's important how you exhibit yourself.
Precisely. Lately, there's been a lot of increase in the interest with space technology in the private sector. A lot of credit I'd give to like SpaceX for bringing into the popular culture. But what is your idea about the future of the space, and what opportunities do early graduates and like young professionals have in this space?
You said it right. I mean, SpaceX has been a trendsetter and a fascinating thing for most of them, It's been a fantasy for everybody. And as I mentioned, even a 2.5-year-old child is fantasized by SpaceX. They want to do something. They want to do something in space because it's become the cool factor of, any industry. Yes. It's a cool factor if you say I'm working in space. Well, Agnikul, Bellatrix and Skyroot, they've been doing wonderful. And, they're coming up with rockets, indigenously built rockets. And in that, I think we are a small, teeny weeny, dot that we were able to build 2 satellites, orbital satellites, and we were able to launch. And our future, we were thinking that our next step is building a rocket, not the orbital rocket, but we are going in for suborbital rocket. We are intending to build a sounding rocket, and predominantly for research, student research, because space is very expensive. To send 1 kilo, it is like, the launch cost itself is about $40,000 to $60,000, and more so for building, another $20,000-$30,000. So it's not really, a very economical one. Of course, we have built our satellites with indigenously built subsystems and everything. So it costed us really economical. And we are encouraging students and everybody to, come to us, learn, and, probably build their own satellites and be happy enjoying space. But that's not going to be remaining the same thing forever, right? And so all these new companies, because you need to get a launch, and every time you cannot, because ISRO is not having a frequent launch. So we have to look in for foreign launches, and foreign launches are very, very expensive. So that gap, Skyroot and Agnikul is trying to fill. So very, very happy. Indian space programs are really looking very bright, and I'm very sure there are a lot of students going to be coming up into this arena. And the startups, definitely, yes, Pixel you had mentioned. They're doing very good. So, I think the space is bright, all lit up, I should say. And also there is a kind of a bubble now, there are too many organizations coming up. Mm-hmm. So, space is kind of, there is a bubble now. So that bubble needs to organically break, and, the right kind of organizations should come up, and who will be sustained for a long time.
True. I also noticed you've worked in a lot of other issues like female feticides and breast cancer, and produced movies, and I think you've even adopted a school in Chennai. So what's sort of your approach towards these things, and what are you aiming for?
You've done a great homework. Fantastic. Okay, now see, there is one aspect in life that I always wanted to do, is the social aspect that I want to keep fueling, and I wanted to keep working on that. And right from childhood, I've been working on some cause or the other. And this, when we started having a hang on the space technology, I thought this needs to be, taught to all the school children. Affordable schools will definitely enroll themselves with big edtech companies and all that. They have big opportunities and everything, but the government school students still lack that. So this government school close to my house, I felt that, I definitely need to adopt the school, and, frequent visits to that school, I really got close to them, and, I wanted to share this knowledge with them. So we do frequent camps with them, and we take a couple of children, we groom them at our office, and, we give them kind of big exposures. We've taken them for the launch of Chandrayaan also. And we taught them how to build paper rockets and water rockets and, everything. So now they are so excited. So many of them wants to be an astronaut. And we kind of get people from space industry to give them a workshop and deliver lectures and all that. In fact, we had requested Dr. Mailsami Annadurai to visit these children and speak to them. So he was so enthused by the questions that these kids had asked. So I am so excited to be a part of them and teach them all these things. So that's why, this initiative, we keep it going year on year. And the other social initiatives, the breast cancer, and I lost a couple of them for breast cancer. And so I thought something needs to be voiced out for women. Similarly, as women lack in the STEM industry and everything, this is a minority of people who, who do not want to take care of their health nor speak up about their health to their family. They are so nervous to speak about, this. They feel it's a taboo. Breast cancer is a taboo, than any other cancer. This they feel is a taboo to be discussed outside and everything. So that awareness I wanted to spread among corporate houses, schools and colleges and everything, because this is spreading crazily in India. And, almost about 43% of Indian women are succumb to this disease. If we are able to detect it in the early days, they can survive. So why lose an opportunity to survive? You are the pillar of the family. So you need to be taken care of. So that's the reason I actually scripted and directed a short music video. And apart from voicing it out everywhere else. So that's my breast cancer awareness story. And apart from that, AIDS awareness. And then, many initiatives. And in fact, for Corona also, last whole year, we've been cooking. I've been cooking for almost 1,200 people every day.
Wow.
And for almost about 100, 120 days, apart from groceries and, cleaning and everything. Because these are something that we need to give back to the society. Nobody is going to come and ask. We have to be, doing something ourselves. We have to feel conscious about it. It's our country, it's our people. So we have to do something for our own. So that is why all these initiatives, apart from the space that I do, I work on all these things. I know, 24 hours is not enough some days. You go sleepless for almost 10 to 12 days. But I think God has given some kind of an energy that, you still are able to be running and up.
It's so heartwarming to know about everything you've been doing. I mean, it should definitely be such a difficult task to manage, being a homemaker, working in space, working for the society, and just juggling so many balls at once.
It's interesting.
Like so many ways.
It's absolutely interesting. Once you start, I always felt until the last breath of mine, I should be running and doing things like this. I don't like to sit in one place and brood or think about anything, Take things as it comes, keep moving, keep marching forward. That's my mantra.
It's so relevant what you say, especially in the era of social media and 30 under 30, where it all feels like a race at some point.
You know what? Forget the race. Forget the race. You run alone. Forget the crowd. Don't be bothered about that. It's very, very important. It's very important that you believe in yourself and say you're born for a purpose and your purpose is going to be fulfilled at any cost. Forget the timelines. Forget the timelines. Because this cannot be pulled away by anybody. Your purpose is your purpose. It cannot be somebody else's. And don't ever think about competitions in life. There is backstabs. There is so many things, down there. Forget all that. Fly high. Just fly all by yourself. And you will definitely reach the pinnacle. Wherever you want to be, you will be there.
What have been your worst moments in your career? Like the times where you felt, okay, we're almost giving up and I don't know how to go ahead.
One thing, my dear, I would never set that in my life. And I will never make that happen that, it's a bad phase of life. I would never accept that it's a bad phase of life. I would say even that phase gives you some opportunity if you find out. So sit calm, think about it, because there are every success is not rosy. Satish Dhawan said, I had to undergo so many things 6 months prior, and at the end of the handing over, we had so many issues. But that's going to just make you stronger every day. Even after this, now, we are the only one in the country who've launched 12 balloons, 2 suborbital and 2 orbital. Okay, we are the only one. But yet, if you're not financially secure, if you're not financially successful, people are going to mock at you. But are you going to think about people mocking at you, or are you going to be thinking about what next? What are you going to do next? That is more important for me. My kids keep thinking, now my kids are growing. All of them are 21, 22. So now they are in the same phase as you. So they want to know, oh my God, what are we going to be doing monetarily? So every day is a pressure, and how are we going to be showing success monetarily? But for me, I tell them, take every step, one at a time. Just forget all these things, Just remember that we are born for a purpose. It's irritating when I tell them this. They get upset many a times, but still I tell them, we are born for a purpose. We are different people, and we will make it big. $1 million is not going to give you all the happiness, but a launch of a satellite is going to give you a lot of happiness. Think about it. Think about working on that, and there will be something that is going to be there at the end of the tunnel. Walk the tunnel. Forget what is going to be there at the end of the tunnel, but just walk the tunnel with confidence. And there is something there at the end of the tunnel. So that way, every day I open my eyes, and when I wake up, I keep thinking, today is a beautiful day. Let's live it, every day. Take every day as it comes. Don't just think too much for future. There is a future for you. Everything is destined and planned. Work towards it. You will be successful. Just keep saying you will be successful, and you will definitely be successful. There will be so many doors opening up. Without your knowledge, you don't know something will hook on. Because until that which you are born for doesn't come to you, you're just working on a normal span. So for which you need to believe that there is something that's going to come. So that belief is what is very, very important. Of course, parents' pressure, peer pressure, relatives' pressure. Oh, you've done this. Oh, you've done that. This one is earning so much. That one is earning so much. So be it. You are gaining knowledge. Acquire knowledge every day. Just keep going. Just keep the smile and just keep going. Forget about all these people. Forget about all these things around you. Just keep acquiring knowledge. Not only knowledge, you have to build in your, your network. Young children like you, I always want to tell you, approach, even the chairmen of companies, leading companies. 10 days they may not respond to you, but maybe once again, if you write to them, somewhere, your writing should impress them. So you start building a network, and that network will help you. So that's very, very important. Don't shy away. Don't shy away thinking you're a small kid. Probably these people will respond or not respond. Forget all that. Your writing should be so impressive that the person should say yes to it. So build a network, and this network will be very, very helpful for your future. And don't be, closed. Don't have an open mind. Start thinking that, so what if I've done mechanical engineering? I can accept to learn something new. So learn something new every day. Learn something new every day. And you don't know how your future is going to be designed, how your future is going to be wired, because sometimes these additional courses will pave way for your main career.
So to summarize, I would say keep going, believe in yourself, and be open to learning new things.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's I think a great takeaway, and I'm so glad that I could speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful, wonderful chatting up with you. And I always love to chat with young people because, you tend to become young and your mind is fresh. You tend to learn something from them. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Khyati. Thank you for thinking about me.